All right, everybody, good morning. Looks like people are still trickling in, but I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And welcome everyone on this 1st of March to another edition of PERG Coffee Break. It also happens to be National Barista Day. This is true. You can look it up. I hope all of you have your coffee or some other comforting beverage, and you are as excited as I am to learn more about tracking devices. Most of you probably recognize me from meetings or other events. I'm Sally Spaderna. I'm the rental manager at Koerner Camera in Portland, Oregon, and I'm also a PERG council member. Before we start, I want to take a moment to thank our very important sponsors. PERG and all of the work we do would not be possible without the dedication of volunteers and the generous support of our annual sponsors. Our annual sponsors for 2022 are ARRI Inc, Astera, Camera One, Duclos Lenses, Dynamic, Litegear, Panavision, Taylor & Taylor, the Camera Division, Vitec Group, and Zeiss. Today, we are delighted to be joined by Bony, the National Sales Manager for Tile, and Umair, the Senior Director of Hardware Engineering at Tile. After their presentation, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. Please feel free to put questions and comments in the chat, and I will ask them. We also look forward to hearing from some of our attendees who may have used Tile or other tracking devices, and from manufacturers who have done some work integrating and hiding trackers in cases and other equipment. So we know a lot of people have wondered about the viability and practicality of integrating trackers into valuable equipment, either to locate that equipment in case of theft, to help locate misplaced equipment, or even to just locate items in a giant rental facility. Today's discussion is intended to help us learn more about the realities. We chose Tile for very obvious reasons. They're a very well-recognized top-selling brand. I think everyone here has heard of them. They have product in 195 countries. They've been around since this technology basically became available to the public. We don't really know exactly how Bluetooth or GPS tracking devices might help us. We're not here to say that we have those answers. We're on an information gathering mission, and we want to invite the PERG community to ride along with us. So thanks for being here. We're very fortunate to have Mark and Muhammad, who also goes by Umair, his last name, with us here to lead us into this territory. And I'll just set things up by saying Tile makes a variety of Bluetooth tracking devices in multiple form factors for every use case. Tile works with over 40 product partners, leveraging its finding technology across audio, travel, wearables, PC categories. Tile was recently awarded number 5 on Fast Company's list of most innovative consumer electronic companies. And they are based local in San Mateo, California. And with that, I will turn it over to you guys.
Great. Can you guys hear me okay?
Definitely.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen. And okay, so thank you very much, Ellie, for a great introduction. Again, my name is Bony. I will share my email address later on in case you have any questions to ask me. It's just one of those names that's not pronounced the way it's spelled, but that's okay. We'll share the email address so there's no mistake. I'm a national account manager at Tile, and I handle several accounts in retail and also enterprise corporate accounts. And I'm here today with Umair, our director of engineering who is really here to keep me out of trouble and as a lifeline in case some of these questions get a little more technical that I'm comfortable with. So certainly we have the right folks here to introduce you to TAL products. I'm super excited to be able to tell you about it. It's a great product that's really affordable and used in many different ways. So the agenda that I have today is very simple. I'd like to do a quick overview of TAL and how to set it up. And if you do lose your item, how to find them using the TAL network. And the TAL network is really centered to our product ecosystem. And then also show you what a latest assortment is. We just introduced a brand new product right before CES in Vegas. So in the October timeframe, we launched some products and then we formally announced it again at CES. And then I'll just leave with a quick where to buy in case you are interested in buying. There's different ways, and in case you want to buy it through a reseller channel or not. And then we'll make sure we leave enough time for Q&A. Okay, and if you have any questions, as Sally said, please put them in the chat box so we can address them later on. So very quickly, this is just our mission. TAL is all about helping people find their things that they care about very easily. Our solution is not static. Our solution encompasses a software, which you put on your smartphone or on your computer, a device, and then the TAL community. And each of those three different aspects of our solution constantly get updated as time goes on. And our mission is really to make life easier for you to find your items and find new ways to make it even easier in the future. Very quickly, timeline. Our first product as a Kickstarter actually was in 2012, and this is the initial tile. We call it TAL Classic on the left-hand side. But what you can see very briefly is our product assortment has grown over the years where we are today from the initial key fob. This is really our main usage case, and still today is our broader case is to keep track of keys. Then it brought into wallets, and then people started putting them into different items. We introduced the TAL Slim, which is like a credit card item, which is really useful to put in wallets, but also on putting on things that need to have a flat area and be out of the way. People use them on tablets and other places where you need something thin. Then later on, we got integrated into other products. So KeySmart, I have another slide to show you, but there's many other OEMs that have integrated our product and our solution within their device. Headsets is a big one, and I'll show you some example later on. But you can see that we now offer many different types of shapes and also types of integration throughout our portfolio. I like this slide because it kind of shows a couple of things. First, our own internal data shows that 90% of items that have a tile and are registered with tile and marked as lost, and I'll go into later on what that really means, are actually eventually recovered. This is a very important stat that we have and we stand behind. As you'll see, this is not a GPS device, so this is not real time. It may take a few hours, a few days, but eventually 90% of our product is found if marked as lost. And the second part of this slide, which is important, is to kind of show you where all our users, which are an important part of the TAL network, are located, and it's throughout the world. And I think that's important to keep in mind, because if your product is used somewhere else in the world, or if your product is, I don't know, lost or stolen somewhere else in the world, you have the TAL network or the TAL community, which is part of the TAL network, there to help find your item throughout the world, not just the US. This is a quick slide of the ecosystem, just to kind of show you some of the partnership we've gathered over and nurtured over the years. Of course, we're very big with the chip partners. This is a Bluetooth device. TAL is a Bluetooth device. So we're really tight with all the major makers of the Bluetooth device chip makers. And then we also have a separate team at TAL, which can certainly make introduction if that's something of interest, which work with other OEMs that want to take our technology, our firmware, our chipsets, and integrate it into other devices. And these are examples here of other manufacturers that have already done so. They realize the fact that the relevance of the solution that we offer, and have decided to integrate it as opposed to taking a device and put it on, attaching it, it's integrated into their own device. HP, Bose headsets, HP laptops, and I mean, the list is just very small. If you go on tal.com, you'll see a much broader set, but anything from Fitbit type of, sport devices to headsets to computers today have TAL integrated into it. TAL is also app-based, and we are compatible, which is a big differentiator with some of our competition, with iOS, so Apple devices, and also works with Android, and also we all have an app on the Windows Store. And we also are integrated with all the top voice assistant finding network. So Amazon Siri, the Google pods, if you will, and also integrating Comcast, which is on the West Coast. I'm not sure where you are, all are, is a leading cable provider. So their remote has that integration in it. So if you want to look for your tile, you can ask the remote on your Comcast set-top box. This is just a small list, much broader if you want to go into deeper on the tile.com, our website. So how easy it is to set up. Once you buy a tile, you get the tile app. As I mentioned, you can download it from an app store on apple.com, or from, if you rather have Android, you do that on Google, and then same thing on the Apple Store. You download it, and then you are essentially given 3 screens to essentially tie that particular device to your account. So you activate the tile by just simply pushing on the center button. It's a Bluetooth device, so it'll get recognized by your product, by your phone very quickly. You can then quickly arrange them the way you want it, call them whatever you want, change the type of sound they will make when found. You can have different sound for different devices, but certainly you can call anything you want to kind of organize everything that you have with tile. And this is the screen where you do that as well. And then you just attach it. You attach your tile depending on the form factor. Some you can be have a loop, so you can put them into, attach it to a key ring. Others have a side that sticks, like the tile sticker, which can essentially be placed on top and sticks very firmly onto a clean surface. So really 3 easy steps to essentially take your tile and make it work. I want to also if your tile is lost, and this is essentially a representation of how the app would look like on your phone. So let's say, for example, that you're not sure where your camera is. You automatically go back into your tile app, and you go into what we call the Bluetooth range. And if it's within 400 feet, up to 400 feet, depending on which tile you have, it will essentially give you a little radar with rings that essentially go more and more rings that you get closer, and you can make it ring. If you're outside the range, and we'll go into the tile network, which I'll go into detail later on, but let's say that you cannot find it, then you say notify when found. So then you go into lost mode, and then when the lost mode is enabled on your product, and if you recall that slide, I said 90% of the items marked as lost eventually get found. Then it goes into what we go into the tile network in the community, where everyone, part of the community in the network, is now looking out for your product. Once it's found, you will get an email or a text, depending on how you set it up, saying, hey, hooray, good news, we found your tile that's attached to your product. And we'll give you actually a map where it is and a general location of where the product is to help you find it. So this is kind of a high level, how you use the app to find a lost tile once it's been enabled through the app. There's one more feature which is brand new this year, which are on 22 products, and it's on all product except the sticker. The reason being the sticker is just too small to be able to put a QR code, but all other devices have what we called the lost and found QR code. And what it is you can see on the back of our devices a little QR code. And if someone, for example, finds a tile that has been dropped, I don't know, in a Starbucks, for example, or somewhere outside and looks at it, it said scan me if found. And what that means is that if you had marked the product as lost and someone had found it, but did not have the tile app on their phone, they can just take a picture, scan it, and automatically, you can set it up where if you lost your tile, put your number in the app. So when someone does scan it, they can be in touch with you. And this is essentially the tile has been found, it's been scanned, and this is a type of a screen that you will get shot on your smartphone saying, hey, your item has been scanned and found. Please call this number. So the person who found the product was able to put their number into the little app that they got back, or the URL that they got back once they scanned it, and said, this is my number, please call me. And then essentially, as the owner of the tile, you're able to now be able to get in touch with that person. This can be very useful, for example, if the product, let's say, is lost or stolen, and it's found later on in a warehouse or in a storage facility, and someone finds it but has no idea what it is, they can just take the tile, flip it over, take a quick shot with their camera, and then be in touch with the person that marked it as lost. So the tile network, I keep talking about it, is made of many things. The first part is, you can find your things with the Bluetooth functionality, which is if you're within up to 400 feet, as I mentioned, you can just push a button and it will guide you where the product is with a kind of a ring radar, where it will say, okay, you're getting close, then you can make it ring and you can listen to it. But if you're outside, you can also find it with your voice. As I mentioned, we're enabled with a lot of the smart devices out there like Alexa and Google, and you can say, Alexa, please find my product, and it will tell you the address where it's at, which is also very useful for some. You can also use our partners that have integrated the tile functionality as a repeater, if you will, because if you have a Fitbit and things of nature, those also are part of the tile network that can help you find your product. And then I just want to pause. There's also a quick little useful feature on tile, which may or may not be relevant to this community, but it is something that is used literally many millions of times a month by our users, which is find your phone. If you take any tile, you double click the button, it will ring your phone, even in the locked state. It's very useful, but that's another way to find your phone or your tile that is associated to. But the rest of the network essentially comprises the community, and the community could be the neighbors that have their own Alexa pods or their Google smart devices on the network. Your neighbor's Alexa can help you find your product as well, because it's enabled with tile as well, or the folks that are part of the community. So we have shipped millions of these devices throughout the world, and anyone that has an app, a tile app on their phone, essentially can help you look for the lost tile. Because if, for example, you lose your tile at a Starbucks and you go home and you're not sure where it is, someone who is a tile user and has the tile app on their phone walks by the lost tile that has been marked as lost, and automatically the app will recognize that the tile that you walked by, it's all invisible in the background and done very privately, will send back the location back to you saying, hey, another tile user has walked by your tile and found it, and here is what it's at. So that's what the community is all about, and it is growing, and I have some more information to share with you. But that's all these little things with lost and found make the tile network a very powerful network to be able to eventually find your lost product. And that's what we are saying confidently, that 90% of things marked as lost eventually get found with our solution. I'm just going to do this very briefly because tile was just acquired by Life360. Life360 is a family safety app. If you have kids, you might have used it, but essentially it's very helpful if you want to know how fast if you have a new driver in the family, how fast that person drove, or whether your school-age child has reached a school okay. But it tracks people and part of the family. And the reason why I want to mention it is that now that we're part of the Light 360, Light 360 had acquired Geobit, and Geobit is essentially a sister company that makes GPS product. We're a Bluetooth product type company, but the Geobit, being a GPS product, has different products which are a higher price point and have different benefits and different limitations. And I can go that more into that into the Q&A. But the fact that we're now part of the Life 360 family, which has about 34 million users in the US alone, essentially make that tile network that I was talking about that much powerful, because you have that more people now that are going to be able to look for your lost item. I just want to spend the last couple slides before we go into Q&A into the product lineup. So this is our latest product lineup. And as you can see, if I start from the bottom, our price points range from $24.99 to $34.99. We have different shapes. So our most popular product is a tile mate. This is what started the company and still to this day our most popular. Our best product in terms of range and longevity and things of nature is a Pro. We also have the Slim, which is a very thin credit card-like size product that has tile functionality that you can stick to flat surfaces or put into a wallet really easily. And then we have Sticker, which actually is our latest introduction in terms of form factors, which is roughly the size of an inch and a quarter, that you can stick to things, whether it's a remote, whether it's a camera, whether it could be a case, it could be many different devices. And all these different form factors have different, because of their size, performance. They come in different colors, which may or may not be important to you, but the ranges range from 250 feet in the Bluetooth mode to 400 feet. And remember, if you go beyond the Bluetooth mode, then you go into the tile network, which I explained before, which is comprised of many different elements, including the community. And then the different loudness, because you can make them ring. If your product is somewhere you can't, behind boxes, you can't see it, you can make it ring, you can hear it where it's at, and it guides you where to find it. And some have a 3-year replaceable battery built in. And some, not replaceable, so it's a built-in 3-year battery. The Sticker, the Slim, and the Mate have a 3-year battery built in, and others have a 1-year replaceable. So if you, on the Pro, you have a little door in the back, you can open, it's just a coin button that you see like a watch battery. I think it's a 2032 watch battery, and that is good for a year, but it's replaceable. The other ones are not replaceable, but they last for a full 3 years. They're all water resistant and dust proof, up to IP67 rating. It's a technical rating, but essentially it's water resistant up to 30 minutes in water down to 1 meter. And that's our lineup. Different price point, different shapes, and different functionality and performance, depending on the type of case or usage you want to use. We also have the capability very quickly that we can brand our product with your logo, if that's of interest. So this is a service that we do. It's an option, and there is a charge. But if that's of something that's of interest to you, where you want to be able to brand with your company the tile item, that's something we can do as well. And my last slide is just very briefly how to purchase the product. So aside from tile.com, which is our site where you can easily go buy a product, we are broadly assorted in US retail in North America, US and Canada. This is just a small subset of the people that cater our product: Amazon, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, Costco. And as I said, the list is much bigger, but these are the biggest ones. If you want to take the product and resell it, then we have to go through our distribution channel, and those are D&H and SPA. Like I said, I think Grant will put my email address in the chat box eventually. And then if you guys want more information, I can certainly give you more detail if you want to be part of our resale channel. And then if you want to have your logo on your tiles, then this is the address that you go to. You can actually go to tile.com and go under branded, your logo plus tile, and then you'll be able to order it with a logo of your that you would like. You can upload your logo, and then it would be printed with it. And essentially, that's where you can easily buy our product. And I believe this is the last of my presentation. I'm hoping I probably did more than 20 minutes, but I want to make sure that I leave enough time for Q&A. So maybe Sally, you can help me with the Q&A portion of it as well.
Thank you, Mark. That was fantastic. And before we jump into Q&A, I just want to say that this whole idea came about because, you know, as many of our members know, we do have a lot of theft in this industry, and there's been a lot of theft going on, specifically in the Atlanta area, and some of the gear that had been stolen in Atlanta was recovered because there was a hidden tile, a tile pro to be specific, and we had hoped that the person, it was an owner operator gear, it was a DP who I believe, I don't really know the whole story. I was hoping he could be here today, but unfortunately he's on a shoot today and tomorrow. He could have told more of that story, but that's what prompted this whole discussion. And we invited some case manufacturers because there's been some questions about where do you put these tiles? Where can you hide them? And will they work if they're inside different types of cases? Like, will they even read? And I believe, I can't see if who we all have. I have to scroll through everyone, all the guests here in the meeting, but I believe we have, we should have Interspace cases here and Omega cases. If Grant could help me unmute those folks, Nicoletta and Josh from Interspace cases and Darlene from Omega.
Absolutely. One sec.
Are you guys present?
You can raise your hand.
Maybe we can talk about if you guys have had
Josh, yeah, just raise his hand.
Gotcha.
If you've had any requests to have any compartments for any tracking devices built into your cases, or if that's something that you could do, or if there be any limitations that you know of with the materials that your cases are made out of.
We do not know any limitations. We hide trackers all the time in lids and hidden compartments. The only limitation has been that the customer is going to have to take out the tracker to repower it. Has been the case with a lot of the GPS trackers, that they're power hungry, but these tiles obviously are less power hungry, but there's nothing that would stop it from penetrating through the surface that I could see. And usually our most common is to cut a hole in the back of the lid foam and have the lid foam come out, and it's just pressured in and have a little spot where it could be hidden. That's what most of the requests have been.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example. You could use tile. Obviously, you mentioned the GPS, and they have benefits and in terms of being maybe a little more accurate and the real time. The issue is, like you mentioned, they're very power hungry, and some of these devices have to be repowered sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, depending on the type that you buy. So that makes it sometimes a little inconvenient. With tile, with a 3-year battery, you get a lot of that same functionality. Not GPS, it is Bluetooth, meaning that it's you have to have a smart device hooked in through Bluetooth, and then it uses a GPS in your phone to help you locate where it is. But that said, case makers, I would love to be able to talk to you offline because that's certainly a segment that we're very interested if there's something that you want to partner up with us, because I think that's a natural, organic way to partner tile with your device, with your product.
John Sinney had a question about the batteries, since we're on that topic. Are they replaceable after the 3 years?
No, they're not. So we offer 2 types of product. We have the Pro, which is our highest performance product in terms of range for Bluetooth. That one is replaceable. The other ones, we wanted to keep things simple, and we wanted to make sure that it was a good amount of time, and 3 years is what we guarantee the product life for the battery. But once that is over, essentially, these are not replaceable. I have some questions I see. I can go through it, Sally, if you want me to, on the chat box. What do you want to do? Go through them?
Oh, sure. Well, I know when we were talking before, we sort of covered how many tiles can
You
be
can put an
on one
account.
Yeah, if you kind of want to touch on that.
Sure. We recommend, so you have to remember, you're using your phone or a tablet, if you have an Apple tablet, or if you have a Windows type tablet, as kind of like the center point of where you're going to manage the app and your tiles. And some of those phones and tablets have different processor strength, and some are faster than others. We typically do not recommend putting more than 250 tiles into each account. Now, that means it doesn't mean that you can have more than 250. Our recommendation is you have, let's say, 500 units that you want to track. You would essentially do two accounts, two different email addresses, and you put 250 in one account and 250 in the other. And then within the app, you can switch one from the other. You can just put a different email address and it will switch to the next 250. The issue is if you have more than 250, it's not that the app can't handle it. It's just that sometimes, depending on the type of iPhone you're using, it just makes the experience not as optimal because it's a lot of tiles to keep track and pinging, and there's some delay. So we recommend no more than 250 per account. But you can have several accounts on a phone, if that makes sense.
And do you get a discount for bulk purchase?
Actually, that's a great question. Certainly we have sales for every quarter that I recommend you go through a tile. If you're an OEM that want to buy more than 100 units at a time, we do offer some discount, but it really depends which one and when you need it. But there's possibilities if you give me a call, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Can you hide a tile device? Oh, can a hidden tile device be found electronically by an unauthorized actor? Umair, you want to take that on?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. It says, can a hidden tile device be found electronically by an unauthorized actor?
Right. Yeah, we have system in place that can trigger that if it's being unwanted or tracking that is being not authorized by an account. Yes, it's possible. So we can tweak that and make it appropriate to what level of trigger you want it to be. So it's something that we can enable.
Okay. We answered already the battery one.
Yeah, and then how do you protect the devices from hackers or people that are trying to use the device inappropriately?
Right. So I think at activation, there are a few options based on the archetypes that you have to choose how you would want to use the device. So from that perspective, we know how it's being envisioned from a activation point of view. But if again, it goes into that unwanted tracking space. So we have triggers built into the ecosystem that it can trigger if it's being used outside of that domain. So we have some intelligence built in on the back end side of our things. If that is the case, then we get triggers, and based on that, we can take appropriate actions.
Okay. Does it matter if a tile is in a case? Is the performance affected? I think you got to look at it. We just heard from someone that uses today tile in a case successfully, but it's like anything, just like you have a Wi-Fi router. in your house, and how many walls do you have in between can affect the performance and the distance. Depending the type of material you use in your case can affect, I would assume, the range of the Bluetooth. It's really hard to answer that without really knowing the specifics of the case, the material, the thickness. I would recommend that you give it a try and see if it works for you. Certainly, we have many, many use cases where it is being used today in cases. I personally use one in my Pelican case. That's one of the cases that I have, and it works fine. I've used it inside luggage, and it works fine. So it's a hard one to quantify unless we knew exactly what the type of material is used. But at the high level, there might be a degradation in performance, but it should work depending on what kind of material you use.
Yeah. If the tile is being located through the network, do the people on the network know that they are helping to find the tile?
Yes. So what happens is if a account was used to help find a track, the user does get a notification that you helped contribute finding a tile that was misplaced by another user. So yes, there is a.
But it leaves at very high level. It doesn't give shared names unless.
Correct. Yeah, there are no privacy-related information that is being shared, but you just get a notification. Hey, thank you for supporting the tile and growing the network, and your app was used, or your system was used to help locate a misplaced item.
I see another one about availability, and we have great availability right now. I would say that when we first introduced, right at the height of the high season, as we approach a holiday, there were a few of them that we had trouble keeping in stock. It was a very hot product. It's a very hot product during the holiday because it's a gifting product as well. But today, as we speak, there shouldn't be any issues. We have plenty of supply.
And then I'm going to expand on this question. Can heat affect the devices, and how about extreme cold or water?
Right. So the 2021 lineup that was released last fall, they are all water resistant. So we follow an industry standard called IP67. So based on that, all the requirements that are covered under that, we abide by that. And in terms of extreme heat and cold, yes, our device is rated to operate anywhere between -10°C up to as high as 65°C. So from that perspective, we're covered.
That's actually a pretty wide range, below freezing and very hot. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't hit the industrial grade, but from a consumer perspective, we do rank fairly high in terms of supporting a wide operational temperature range. And
then Michael Koerner, he's going back to the tracking of the lost items, and he says it's after someone has pinged it on the network that it's been stolen. He says it seems like a thief may find that the tiles are in the case, and if they are notified that they are helping to find a tile. Could you maybe talk a little bit about that? If a thief might be tapped into the network and using it
right,
to their advantage?
Right. I think for that, the key assumption is that, let's say if that instance was to happen, the key thing for that to work is that the smartphone that the thief is using, that also needs to have the tile app installed. So I think the possibilities of all that may be fairly low. So our operation or the network only kicks in as long as the tile app is running on a smartphone that is in the vicinity.
I'm going to throw this one back to Josh from Innerspace, Josh K. How are you hiding the tiles? You said that you've been, or the GPS trackers that you've been making hidden compartments in your cases. How are you doing that? Are you making any sort of locking them in, or there? Could you just talk about?
It's usually a cavity in the back of the lid foam if there's not a drop lid, and we'll secure it back then there. That way it's the closest to the exterior of the case as well, and nobody's going to go behind the lid foam. In a lens case, we put them below supports in the lenses or below the desiccant compartment, which is also a great way, so you can bring it in and out and recharge it. But I think the closest to the edge of the case is probably most beneficial, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Sure.
it does. I think we answered. I'm glad that I see there's a user of Life 360 and we use it constantly. Yes, we are very excited about Life 360 being part of that family. Not only because it's a great company and a great solution they offer to families, but also the fact that we're going to be able to tap into their community as a yet another way to grow our finding community by a factor of 10x, given that we're not part of that family. So it'll make finding tiles even quicker and easier. I don't know if I have any other questions. I think we've answered most of them on the chat.
Yeah, are there any other members in here that have had any experience using tile? That I see Craig says he's had a customer with a demo case tell him on his phone alerted him that there was a tile present. Oh, and then John, he said, once we all start putting tiles in cases, thieves will know to toss the cases and run with the gear, which brings us to working with camera manufacturers to integrate tile into the product, which we are hoping that can be done, and we know it can be done, as you have already partnered with
Some
many,
of the manufacturers. Yeah, we are definitely welcoming any manufacturer out there that want to talk to us about integrating tile into their product. Obviously, there's integrating the product is at the surface pretty easy if they have a Bluetooth capability already built in, because their product is already Bluetooth enabled, and enough space to put the guts of the tile and the speaker and the battery. And this is the big and it makes business sense for us, right? Because obviously there's engineering costs and things of nature. We welcome talking to any manufacturer that would be interested in integrating, because you're right. I think that would be probably the most elegant solution, if I can use that word, to integrate tile within, because it'd be very invisible. Most people wouldn't know that it even exists except for the user, and very clean. So certainly anyone out on the call that is a manufacturer, I would love to be able to get you in contact with our business development team, which take care of the integration type opportunities. Good. All right, and so I'm not sure if on the chat, if someone, oh, here, yes, I see that everybody has access to my email address. It's mark.bonnet@tile.com. So if there is another question or follow-up that I did not answer, I can certainly be your first point of contact. And then if I can't answer it, I can forward it to other people. As I mentioned, I welcome the opportunity to be able to introduce this product to your community, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. At the end of the day, tile does fit many use case. It may not be the perfect use case, but when you look at the cost performance aspect of tile versus other devices out there, it does make sense for a lot of people.
well, thank you so much, Mark and Umair.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you everyone who contributed. Thank you for audience for joining in. I hope we see all of you in person at our NAB PERG meeting. Please keep an eye out for an invite. It should be coming soon. We'll have some very exciting new developments to share at that meeting. We also hope to see you all here in Portland, Oregon, for the Pacific Northwest Lens Summit, which will be in person this year. I see Michael Koerner in the audience. he may have something he might want to post about that in the chat. And thanks to Josh K from Inner Space Cases for his information about the case tracking. And we hope to see you guys all on the next one.
Well, thank you, Sally and Harry and the rest of the team for giving us an opportunity to present. And we wish everybody a great rest of the week.